Good evening and welcome to LessonPix Live.
What a greeting.
That really hurt.
You might need an OT.
Oh.
Here.
I might need PT. Okay, that really hurt. So, hi, I'm Bill Pinko. This is Laurie Pinko. We're co-founders of LessonPix. And
You're quite entertaining. We like to start with
I just smacked my knee
bang.
really hard. Anyway,
Hi. But that was a little too much.
Nobody's helping me on this, so thank you.
You're welcome.
So, welcome to LessonPix Live. We're going to go through some great stuff with our friends, our OT friends, Elisa and Judie, and Beth Poss is with us here.
Why are we talking OT?
It is OT month, and we are going to AOTA, the American Occupational Therapy Association. Did I get that right?
Yep.
In Kansas City, their annual conference, and we are all going. Everyone you see here will be in the LessonPix booth in Kansas City.
So if you're going
in a couple days,
come see
Come
us.
and say hi. Yes.
Booth
Absolutely.
602, I
Yeah,
think.
booth 602. It's on the headline of our Facebook page. I cannot hit that knee again. So
Made you smile.
it might have. It's a funny bone, right? That's what they call it. So we are gonna go through some new stuff. Lori's got stuff to show off. We've got some things we're gonna be showing off at AOTA, and then Elisa and Judie are gonna show off some of the things they're gonna be showing off at AOTA, and then Beth, maybe you'll join them. I know all three of you are gonna do a session, and you guys can share what that's going to be about,
Give some teasers,
etc. So, as I mentioned, welcome everybody. Welcome Beth and Judie. I suppose probably some folks might not know who you are. So Beth Poss is one of our speech paths and director of educational programs. Did I finally get that right? Close enough.
All good.
Okay, I probably got it wrong.
No, you did. You got it completely right.
All right, good. So, but Beth is very much a day-to-day part of life here at LessonPix. We're happy to have her. She's a speech pathologist in Maryland. And then we have our two OTs at the bottom who don't work for us but help so much. Judie Schoonover is in Michigan, but was in Loudoun County, Virginia for many, many years, which is when we met. And Elisa Wern is in Gainesville at Alachua County Schools, and also runs the book study for the literacy program, and generally speaking is in a million different things up there in the middle of the state. So welcome all of you. And I'm sorry about the rough intro. We have somebody already asking for an OT, Kat Quinn. So Kat, Alyssa's your woman right there. So there you go.
Reach out to me. I can find you a good OT.
And our favorite former duck person speaking up as well. So Kelly Suding is joining us from Cast in Virginia, not Patents in Indiana. For those of you who are going to the Patents Tech Expo, I will be there on Thursday, but nobody else here will be. I'll be heading there to support Chris Young and to join him in his talk on AT as a civil rights tool, which is going to be an interesting talk. If you don't know who Chris is, he's got SMA type 2. He's 67, I think, this year, and has lived quite an interesting life through a lot of different eras of the AT world. So he's going to be giving a talk there about that. And then I'll be flying back to AOTA. So I got quite the week going on. So let's get started. I'll pick randomly. Elisa, how you doing?
I'm good, I think, for
Good.
Monday.
So what are you going to be, what are you kicking me about?
There's a fly. I feel like it's Mike Pence.
My goodness. We're having all kinds of technical fun over there.
I was ignoring it well.
You were, and I could not. I do not do well with
Is it no longer with us?
It's no longer with us.
Okay.
My wife hit me.
R.I.P. little fly.
So here you go. Elisa, tell us something about OT and how you use LessonPix in your practice.
All right. Can I steal the something?
You may share your screen. What do you want to change? Your camera?
No, I'm good. I just had to get myself all situated here.
There you go.
So I will preface the 2 of the 3 things I'm sharing are not in the sharing center because they have custom uploaded pictures. But
Okay.
I think you can still kind of get the gist from what we're doing. So we have a lot of parents that ask for home information. How do we talk about what's happening between home and school? And so this is one I should have downloaded it ahead of time, but I didn't. So
Okay.
This is one we kind of made to help that homeschool communication. Just basic information. You know, to me, this is a little bit more upper elementary appropriate than what we may use in the pre-K note home, which is what initially this case manager was using. And we were like, okay, I think I can kind of give this a more mature, age appropriate spin. So we have kind of reading, and we use UFly here, K-2, and recess and therapies and comments. So this was a good way for us to kind of develop some more rapport with the family about what was happening. So that is, I kind of modified and adjusted, and I couldn't even tell you where. I think I probably started with somebody else's daily report, but made it something like basically not trying to get too far away from what the teacher had been using.
Right.
So it wasn't a drastic change for her, but I could kind of raise the age appropriateness for the student.
And so for those who may not know, why is this the OT doing this, not the teacher?
So it's a hand in hand. Sometimes we just get asked to do random pieces of support. Depends on the school. Sometimes the OT is the person that has the best or longest standing rapport with the family. In this case, I'm on that team kind of supporting our OT, but also supporting from assistive technology perspective. So my role really is all things technology. And in this case, it was, how can I best help the team on this day? It was, we've been meaning to change this form. We've been meaning to change this form.
Right.
Guys, just send me the form and I can do it in like a minute and send it back to you.
So, is this something that is also used by the student to help them keep track of things, or is this mainly done with the parents?
So that's our goal for this young man and for a couple of our students, that they're starting to have a voice of like you see that there's it's hard to see on that person. So let me bring this one back. There's a today I felt. So that's a space that we kind of have made a goal to have them kind of be throughout the day, kind of telling the parent, oh, you know, this morning I was a little silly, or, you know, trying to kind of build some of those tools for self-regulation. I don't know that he is an accurate reporter of his behavior at this time. He'd probably say I had all, you know, good, perfect behavior. But the goal is over time that he's able to contribute to this. And especially if something special happened during specials or during the day, or a comment or a special activity, that they're starting to do that. From the OT perspective, we would work on them maybe writing it in or copying from a model. And we're not there quite yet with this learner, but that's where we would go.
Right. And to get that, you just use there's a daily report template in LessonPix, right? So it's here. I'll quickly steal this and show.
Yep, go for it.
It's right here. So you do a search when you're making your materials. If you type in report, it's the daily reports template, and it's right here. And you can choose which layout you want and how many squares you need and things like that. Then you add your pictures, and these aren't the right pictures for this, but in general, it will let you make a template exactly like that. You did not do anything outside of LessonPix to make that, correct?
No, not for that one. That is the
Right.
one that is available there.
Okay.
And then we went in and did kind of a classroom redo. So this is modified from from something in the sharing center. It's a classroom that we were introducing zones of regulation to more and more. This one's not in the sharing center because I have a custom picture of the sensory path down there.
Right.
But we used the multiple choice template, but used it as a way for almost the ticket out the door for this young person, because a couple of his sensory choices when he gets closer to the red zone are things that would not happen in the classroom. But we wanted to kind of interrupt the flow of, I'm just going to run outside the classroom. when I would like to partake in that activity.
Right.
So actually we cut these apart and I made one size that's just one per page. So this red zone sits right on the door. We started it with it right on the door, right at the student's eye level. So as he went out the door, he needed to make some communication to them about what they were going to, what he wanted to do, where he felt he was. Again, I don't think he's in a place where he was really able to verbalize like, I'm in the red zone and I need to go outside.
Right.
I love how you used the symbol builder tool to put more than one emotion in each zone to kind of convey that a zone isn't a single emotion, that there's a range of emotions in that. I think that's awesome. I really love.
I like that too.
You use the symbol builder tool to do that.
And I think I think it's one of those things that sometimes people get wrong about the zones of regulation. Is that any one of these emotions have a value upon them, good, bad. Like today, I've probably been through all of those emotions. And it wasn't good or bad. It was just, that's the range of normal human experience. And we need to model that for our learners, that it's okay to be upset. But yet, like, I can't just run out of my office when I'm upset at a coworker. I need to go, hey, I'll be back in just a second. I'm going to take a break. Kind of modeling and teaching that language as we go.
And you know what I like about that is because you made it a multiple choice, you could also have that as an interactive thing. You could have a pipe cleaner and a bead in there. And so you could also use it as a reflective thing where the child could indicate, this is how I'm feeling. And the teacher could take the bead and go, well, this is how you're looking, especially with the two emotion pieces on each of the cards, because sometimes kids are not accurate reporters. And so having a couple of choices and then having a couple of options on how they're reporting, and then also the opportunity to not have it be a permanent mark rather than marking it and saying, oh, this is how I was. Maybe a teacher guiding it, you know, it really wasn't that bad. It just would look more like this. And what could you have done? So it's nice when you have options like that where you don't have to have a permanent mark that always stays and the child just labels themselves, well, I really messed up. It gives them an opportunity to reflect and maybe repair a little bit.
Absolutely. And we have learners that we use the 2 per page, and they're laminated. I have a couple of kids who have just a ring of the 4 of them. I ended up kind of printing them, making them 2 per page and then printing them smaller than that because I was having a day. So instead of printing them 4 per page, they kind of came out like 3 per page-ish size. But it works for them. So they kind of have a ring that goes with them that if they leave the classroom to go to a supportive therapy or the lunchroom, they have the option to have some of their tools right there with them. And they're laminated. So, you know, one of my kids is kind of obsessed with the dry erase marker. So we just attached the dry erase marker with string too. So he's got not only his tools, but also a quick way to kind of be like, hey, this is where I'm at. And sometimes they're sitting in the lunchroom, which is really nobody's favorite place if you have any auditory anything. And being able to communicate in that moment, hey, this is not like I'm kind of getting a little frustrated here, and having somebody acknowledge and know, because we know that if they're not in their classroom, sometimes they're in the cafeteria with a whole range of supportive adults who may or may not know that student or what their needs are, but it's a quick and good way for them to kind of be like, I can understand what yellow zone means, and I can understand what red zone means, and I can understand, hey, you need something.
Right. Okay. Yeah, let me go back to your screen. Sorry.
All right. One more thing. So these are the ones that, while it is a Creative Commons image, it definitely can't be reproduced. So I have a kid who is all Spider-Man all the time.
Right.
And so much so that we're introducing some AAC for him, and Spider-Man has a stylus that attaches to his arm, and Spider-Man has his own AAC device, because we're kind of not, we're like, when he reaches out to touch my device, he wants Spider-Man's hand to do it right now. So like, we're trying to slowly kind of help him make that connection between I say something, I get something. So in order to do that, we're kind of building, I'll start with this one, but we're kind of building activities that allow him to kind of engage with a preferred character and yet still kind of work through some language modeling.
It's
So,
like power cards, right? It's
What?
the power card. It's like the power card strategy, right?
Exactly. And Judy, you can tell them a little bit more about that while I'm bringing this up if you want.
Well, a power card strategy is where you take something that a child really loves, or that they really respond to, in this case, Spider-Man, and you use that as sort of a foundation for something similar to a social story. Oftentimes, the power cards are a small card that the child can carry around with them, and it kind of indicates what that particular character would do under those circumstances. And that way the child who is, loving this hero there wants to be like that hero. So they want to do things like Spider-Man in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's a young kid. So I put together a couple of quick words that we can work on targeting on his device. Spider-Man is on his device. Jump, go, good core words. And then web is kind of that ancillary fringe word for Spider-Man. And again, this is that dice template that allows kind of a kid who's a little squirrely and likes his movement to, toss the dice on the carpeted floor, find out what the action is. Maybe it's do the action and then come back to the communication device and we're going to model that word. So it's a great way, even if you're kind of co-treating between speech language and OT, to kind of mesh the two worlds together of, some good language that the kid cares about. Because there's nothing more painful than trying to model language that a kid has no care to talk about.
Right.
And a good kind of OT action of wanting them to use their body together to go, to stop, to jump, those kinds of things. And then you'll see I just kind of went in the Spider-Man direction from there. So I use the lacing card template to make a Spider-Man lacing activity. So it's hard to tell in this what that looks like, but basically we cut the picture out, which I actually had an older student help me do. And then punched out the whole.
It might look like that.
There you go. It would look kind of like that when done.
Yeah.
But my friends would care not one iota about that camel.
Good example. It's a llama.
Llama, sorry. But would probably be willing to do a lacing card for Spider-Man. So I also OT's working on cutting with him, same 4 words, but use the cutting page template for that. And the last one, I forget what I did. Just kind of to carry over into the classroom, I just kind of took, because he likes his numbers, and we'll kind of model and talk through them. I use the number cards again, you'll see a theme, same pictures, to kind of use kind of the puzzle concept, which is visual perceptual skills as an OT, the numbers concept, which is a good pre-academic skill, and then the vocabulary that we know he's got some vested interest in discussing, working. And I told the team as I was doing this, I can't tell you how many Barbie activities I've made. And, if there's a theme that this kid is going to buy into, I will make as many activities in that direction that the kid will buy into.
Yeah.
I have done the same thing with Star Wars and made a million materials based on the student's interest, right?
Allie did all those wrestlers.
Yeah, wrestlers. I've done Winnie the Pooh characters. To me, I will take anything that's going to be an interest of a student and try to diversify it in ways that, again, we could talk about multiple goals that we're hitting across the board. But, sometimes, like I said, I'll go and see an older student and be like, hey, can you help me out? Can you cut this out? Happens to be a goal of theirs, but they're a 4th grader and they don't really want to work on cutting.
Right. But now they get a job. Right.
Mm-hmm. It can help.
Very good.
Very nice. We have a new template too, a newish template called trading cards. And I like the idea of taking that Spider-Man as a trading card that they could earn. And then I also thought in my head that you could use the symbol builder to combine your core words or your objectives within the trading card. And you could put an AAC device with Spider-Man and say, Spider-Man uses AAC. And then, maybe the next one is Spider-Man says nice words, or whatever it is you want him to do, whatever goal you're working on in trading cards.
And
Yeah.
then
Or
turn it
any-
into a matching game and a counting game. There's so many different things.
And I think that's, to me, the versatility of like, I can make an OT-ish activity, those 4 activities, and it took me very little time. I was going to estimate, I knew I'd overestimate, but very little time once I had the pictures. The hardest thing was, okay, remember which cart which place all those clip arts are, and find the one that I know I've got Creative Commons license to use for Spider-Man. That took more time than it did to make the 4 activities.
Yeah, I believe that. All right. Thank you, Elisa. And I will be looking forward to you at seeing you at Kansas City.
Yes.
Judie, what you up to?
No good, but I wanted to comment on Elisa real quick. I loved that first schedule, Elijah's Day. I was thinking because of coming to some of the other conferences where LessonPix had a booth, and people saying, well, what do I do for other ages? And this, the Elijah schedule would be perfect in a memory care unit. And the nice thing about those templates is you can swap them out, so you can have real photographs. So that if it were someone who was older, and I noticed that in your template, you did say target audience everywhere from preschool on up. And so in the sharing center, when you see those, you can just kind of springboard with the ideas. And again, that's the whole thing with a memory care unit. You want to have tangible objects, or you want to have something that's a visual representation to help trigger those memories of the things that occur either a long time ago or more currently. And there's so many templates that could be used for that age group as well to support them. And to support their families with knowing what to ask and have an idea on how to lead the conversation.
Right. We're not just for preschool, right?
No, absolutely not. And it's become so much more versatile with the add-ins for Google and for Microsoft products, because you can have something that looks very sophisticated or very age appropriate.
Right.
And still get your point across, or have your game, or have your matching words, or whatever target goal you have. The templates can look very different. They don't always have to look like a coloring page or one with the graphic representations. They can have photographs and other things. So such a versatile product, but I'm not doing an infomercial. You asked me what I was up to, and I'm saying no good.
You said no good.
Yeah, I've been shoveling because it's snowing here. And but one of the things I am working on, and it's not done, and I don't do show and tell very well, but I'm doing several workshops on adapted books, and I am creating a book report for non-speakers and writers, so that they can determine, what they thought about the book, whether they liked it, whether they wanted to have it read again, whether they didn't want to hear it ever again. So I'm using the LessonPix bookmark template, and I'm looking at also one of the other schedule templates, so that I can not only add whether they liked it or they not liked it, but whether they would want to read it again, and how they felt about it, whether it was scary, whether it made them sad, whether it made them happy, so that they can respond to the books they read. There is a wonderful person out of Tech Access, Rhode Island, Becky Jones, and we've talked about her before. She has created an adapted book library where you can check out her adapted books if you live in the state of Rhode Island, and she's made them into very multi-sensory book kits. And she uses LessonPix with your permission, and then guides people back, because the wonderful thing is she shared all this beautiful information on how she creates these adapted books. With anybody who lives outside of the state, they can click on the links and they can assemble their adapted books. And you all have created such a nice resource to go to right on the LessonPix pages with, and can you show some of those things now about the adapted books, things that
you want me to do the in a story section? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. Hold on a second.
Because
I'm not sure. Sorry.
A lot of what I did, and I think Beth is nodding her head, a lot of what I did, and my favorite part of OT, other than making, is preschool and emergent literacy. And there are so many resources already here. My granddaughter is just learning to read, and it's so exciting. She's in kindergarten and she's reading level 1 books. But my grandson, who is 2, is mesmerized. All of a sudden, his sister is magic. And having these different activities that extend that story to work on comprehension and to work on, to blend the fine motor and the gross motor activities into it too, with the cutting activities and the sequencing activities and all the other things. And it's done for you, because a lot of times teachers are just overwhelmed. And when Elisa talked about working with the teachers and creating some of these materials herself, I think one of the things that we want to emphasize too is our ASHA and AOTA and APTA have gotten together, and they say, we're supposed to be doing this together. We're supposed to be writing our goals together. We're all supposed to be supporting it. And it's really nice when we can take our different skills and our different backgrounds and work together rather than work in silos when we're working with kids.
Agreed. Laura, you want to walk them through the in a story section here just for a second?
Well, yeah, it's one of my favorite
that's
sections.
That's the wrong view. Hold on.
I'll be changing.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm here.
All right, go ahead.
So the way you find it is in the top gray bar.
Yep.
You can see where it says articles. If you go to articles down the left-hand side, there's in a story. So it is a hidden gem within the...
It won't be that hidden for long. We're going to make this more prominent. But yes, it is a remarkable amount of work that has gone into this, right? So,
yes. And what it is, you call it curated work. It's taking
Right.
materials from the Sharing Center and some new materials that I've created in order to to address specific objectives within each of these books. And when you click on a story, it opens.
pick one.
Oh, Grumpy Monkey. I love Grumpy Monkey.
There you go. Pick one.
So, yes.
Within it.
Grumpy Monkey. Yeah, it's just filled with activities, visuals, tons of ideas, all related to the story. Maybe you'll see something, that catches your eye. I do try to go deeper in things that take more time to create. For example, if you scroll up above, there are question cards there, comprehension
Yes.
cards. And a lot of those question cards are much harder to come up with. So it is nice that when you go in a story, it's there for you. And they're different levels.
I'm not logged in.
Some are open-ended questions. Some have multiple choice. As a teacher myself, I would present, I'd ask the question, having a question card with me. And then if they needed, another level of prompting, because it was an inclusion classroom, sometimes I would show them the question card with it, or I'd show them a choice so that they could point and talk about it at their level.
Right.
And I was just going to make the comment, a lot of these books have a life beyond pre-K and early childhood. There are a lot of these books have really powerful themes that you can use appropriately in very age respectful ways with older students as well, by digging a little bit deeper into those themes, like even a book like Grumpy Monkey, where it's a way to talk about feelings, or like Eve Bunting's Flower Garden and Plant a Garden. There's another one in there, like Planting a Garden, and just there's a lot of just
Say something.
Say something. Yes.
Yes.
There's just a lot of books in there that, like when I talk to speech language pathology students, occupational therapy students, special educators, I talk about the in a story section all the time, because you can really dig deep into more sophisticated topics using picture books as mentor texts. And it's a great way. So even with our older students, pick the right ones, right? Like there's definitely some books that I'm not going to read Hungry Caterpillar with middle school or high school students, but I would absolutely read this book with middle school or high school students.
Right.
And the chickens aren't the only ones. There's another one I was talking to today with my about my high school niece, and I find this niece? My niece in high school.
Okay.
Sorry.
I know who she is. I'm just wondering why you're talking about this particular book with her.
Because this book, like many of the books, like Beth was saying, you can go deeper in it. This talks about all the animals that are oviparous, that lay eggs, and the form of the eggs. And she's very much into sharks,
Biology.
and that sharks lay, eggs that both live and lay eggs.
And then
And it was
the author,
fascinating.
the
That
author Ruth Keller has written incredible books too, and they really do extend across. The illustrations are beautiful, and they have more sophisticated themes if you kind of think about them a little bit more.
Gotcha.
And
So
back
we got-
to that collaborative goal piece of things that Judie was talking about, OTs can absolutely and should absolutely be supporting literacy. I think the OT that happens in isolation, where we go hide in our closet, and nobody ever knows what happens behind the magical door. Like, I think it just doesn't aid our students, and it doesn't aid our staff to have good modeling, because oftentimes it's when you're in the classroom and something comes up and the teacher goes, "Oh, I've been noticing they've been doing it that way." And you're like, "Oh, have you ever tried?" That's the magic, right? It's not the magic that happens behind a closed door. And if we're pushing in to writing time or science time or centers in pre-K, it gives us the opportunity to engage and help them access literacy, right? I am not the master of how to teach reading, but I feel like I'm competent in being able to talk about how can they turn the pages of that book, right? If their arms aren't working for them, if they can't turn the pages of the book, they're not accessing literacy.
Or how can we position them better for fatigue issues, right? Things like that.
And also the visual perception. That's what we're trained in. We're trained in recognizing visual perceptual differences and how to support them. Even doing simple things like enlarging margins or changing the font or the spacing between words makes a great deal of difference for certain students. And sometimes it's the collaboration of a lot of minds coming together and saying, this student isn't succeeding, but I know they know what they're doing. And so you get Elisa to point out, well, there's a glare overhead, and he may not see the whole part of the book, or it's not tilted in a place where he can track across the page, or there's so many different things that you can problem solve in when you all come together, and that's the whole point.
Ultimately, I think it's our learners who lose out when we hide ourselves behind the magical door. And I think, again, there are skills we work on that it makes absolute sense for. We're not going to work on toileting and self-care skills in front of everybody in the classroom, but for literacy skills, for writing tasks, I think it's incredibly critical for us to make sure that we are collaborating, because if I'm not in the classroom, I can't notice the glare. I can't notice the student who is turning like this when they're starting to write, and maybe want to talk to that family about, hey, when's the last time they were at the eye doctor? So I think and sometimes it's especially right now in education, our teachers are not in a space where they can notice all those things because they are burdened with 15,000 other things. So they need skilled professionals to come into that classroom and be a second pair of eyes to notice things that may seem like a really small thing, but could transform that learner's experience tremendously.
And we can learn so much from the educators and from the other related service people. If we're all working together, we can see what they're seeing, and we can learn from them.
Yeah.
So OT is all about participation, and you can't participate in isolation. So everybody get out and participate.
So
I love it.
Don't you want to sing a little High School Musical? We're all in this together, Judie.
So before we move on, I do want to thank everybody in the comments for, let me go back to this one for a second. Before we go on, Judie, there's a bunch of people in the comments, and I do see them, and I'll respond to them, and I can put some of them up on the board. But I want to respond to all the ones we're getting. And one of them I can't respond because they're like posting their email trying to ask for help finding an OT here in Florida. So I thought, Elisa, rather than just say, hey, can you call afterwards? I know how to find AT support in Florida, right? We can go to FAST or things like that, or maybe Fiddlers, things like that. How do you find an OT here in Florida? And is there a standard way to do this? Oh, you're muted and you're blurry.
Yeah, and I was trying to fix my camera because I'm like super.
Go like this with your thing, and it'll fix it.
Nope. but I did it just for you though.
There you go.
I don't know what's going on with it. So There's a couple places. It depends on what you're looking for. The Florida Occupational Therapy Association, or any state that you are in, has a state association. And oftentimes they're a good kind of referral source. If you're asking for a specific kind of in a specific area, I would ask other people that you know, because oftentimes, you know, they know somebody who either has been to OT or knows an OT or has worked with an OT. But and then there are quite a few Facebook groups. I'm sure this is very familiar, very common for other states. I think there's one that's like Florida Occupational Therapy Information, Florida OT. So there are other like social media kind of angles that you can also use to find a good provider.
My suggestion would be, if you've got other specialists, you know, if you have speech paths or PTs or special educators you work with, they probably know at least one OT. I'm sorry, you're still blurry.
I'm still very blurry.
You got beer goggles on. The rest of your room looks great.
Yeah.
So Judie, I'm sorry I interrupted you. So what else are we going to talk about? Or do you want Lori to show some of the things we're going to talk about over in Kansas City?
Yes, please. But I did want to say, Lori, with Grumpy Monkey, I love the bracelets. Those are so nice because you can make those little bracelets for just about anything. You can have a mood bracelet. You can have a sensory choice bracelet. You can have a Grumpy Monkey bracelet. They're very versatile, and I love manipulatives. So I'm glad that you did a Grumpy Monkey bracelet right there.
Oh, right here.
There
right
we go. Yeah. And how fun for the kid that fidgets during reading time to have a Grumpy Monkey bracelet to wear.
Right. What can I do when I'm grumpy? And these are the distractions or whatever other words you want to use for that. Alternative fidgets, whatever.
Yep.
That's the right word.
That works.
All right.
Sure, we'll go with that. Yeah.
And if it's not too late, I told you before I wasn't going to share my screen, but I have to share. You were talking about collaboration between like OT, and if it's not too late for me to share my screen.
Share your screen, of course.
Okay.
You know how this works.
Share.
I love the bracelets too. In fact, somebody commented on them the other day in Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I was shocked. It was like a new idea for them. And it did remind me that I need to just keep bringing these back and saying, you know, look at this idea, look at that idea.
Because there's new people.
I always wear them when I'm doing my workshops so that people will notice them. You're going to wear one at AOTA, right? Because people will love it.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
You can all wear them.
I've also had Head Start VPK teachers use them when kids go on field trips.
And that's where we started. I had bought some like cheetah ones and different designs on Amazon.
Snap bracelet ones.
Well, then they were paper because I don't mind that the paper get and we always passed out new ones. And I would write little messages home. And same with cutting out badges. The kids love wearing a badge. So the cutting pages that you showed earlier with Spider-Man, they would love to cut them out. And then I would pin them on their shirt like they had won a big prize. But sometimes I might write on it like, remember, tomorrow is, you know, Fun Friday or Water Day or whatever it is, kind of dual purpose there.
All right, Beth.
Yeah. So one of my favorite templates is the cutting links template. And I just went into the sharing center, and for people that you don't know, you can filter by the material type. So it's a great way to get to know different types of templates in LessonPix and get ideas on how people are using them. And I love this one. So it's great. You can either practice cutting or practice writing, and there's different types of lines that you can choose. But there's some awesome things in here where you've got like speech pathologists, like some of our favorites, like Tali Kellerstein, who's got working on that motor speech of L to R. But at the same time, you know, the OT is going to love the fact that they are practicing their fine motor with it, right? Or, you know, maybe you've got the special educator who is working on, or the general educator, right, who's working on the literacy piece and recognizing the letters of the alphabet. And so drawing, you know, that correspondence between the uppercase and the lowercase there. So there's just so many things that you can do with this, where that talk about collaboration, where it doesn't have to simply target just one thing, right? So maybe you're going to have that shared that shared goals, between different disciplines. So just one of my personal favorite fine motor templates that you can use to address lots and lots of different skills with.
Yeah, absolutely.
That one and the cube are my favorites, but I shared that one last year, so I refuse to let myself do it for this year's OT month. I made myself find other ones.
Excellent. Well, you've got a pile of stuff. So
I always bring a
let's
pile
jump into
of
your pile here for a second.
Well, the focus of my pile actually goes to AOTA and what you'll see if you go there and you come to our booth.
Okay, and a lot of these are ideas that these two came up with. I mean, Judie came up with the voice volume thing.
We do collaboration.
Right.
We are a team, and Beth's a speech path. I'm a teacher. We have OTs. And you're an engineer, and you even come up with an idea now and then.
Once in a while.
Yeah. So we collaborate. The theme of today's.
My job is really take the thing she's doing difficultly and make it easier. That really is my entire job, right? Because you've been doing all this stuff forever by hand.
Yep. Exactly, and we each have a couple years experience.
Yeah.
Between us, yeah,
a
little bit. And we've seen different things over the years. So it's so exciting when you work with someone else, and what seems common to me or common to Beth could be totally new to the other. So,
right.
Yeah.
All right. So before you start, Kelly Suding, have you ever added tactile pieces to the bracelets for access?
I have.
Yeah. I have no doubt she does.
Yeah, right. We know that because of this one, which we'll talk about in a second.
Well, then I'll go there.
Well, and I think for the bracelets themselves, they kind of lend themselves well to, someone who is blind or visually impaired, for us to, sequence a story or sequence a step of things that they can't maybe pick up a schedule and take them with them. If it's like, I got to do these 3 things before I go home or whatever it is, sometimes they have it right there with them. I've got to remember to take these 3 things home, and you can add a tactile element with that. Sometimes it's just a different shape with puffy paint, which if you laminate the bracelets, the puffy paint does well with it.
Sticky dots with foam too.
Yeah, I was going to say the other thing that
you can do braille with the sticky dots.
I love the sticky dots, the foam ones with the stickers or all that. And I'm also obsessed with these little gems stickers that I would put on a bracelet as well. The other thing, since we're back to bracelets, is to tell you that within LessonPix, there are 2 types of bracelet templates in there. So, what are you playing with that?
I'm just showing. There's no point in holding it down. Go ahead.
So, if you want to go to LessonPix,
sure,
real quick. There you go. And you go to create materials and you search for bracelet. That needs to be added as a keyword.
Well, what are they?
Wristbands.
Yep.
You can see that there are 2 types. One is just a string of pictures that go around, and those are fabulous for sensory strategies or your story sequencing or what I do when. Feelings is the example in there. And the other is for text. And this actually was inspired by Allie. When she was little, she used to make paper bracelets out of loose leaf paper with the lines on it, and she would cut them up and they were very child made, but she would put quotes on them and then thought she could sell them and make money, that kind of thing.
It runs in the family. We like to make money.
So, but that's what this is just one single picture and room for wrapped text so that you can write, what this one says, water day tomorrow, wear your swimsuit.
Can I show them in the sharing center? I'll go to the sharing center. What Beth said earlier about being able to filter down the sharing center is right here on the left. Mm-hmm. And so I can go in here and type in wristbands with the pictures.
I bet there's a lot with pictures.
And
because a lot of people do like
right?
This.
EET, that's the expressive the expression expansion toolkit.
Yep.
Okay. And initial R's. I'm faking being an SLP for a second. And then if I go to the other one with the text, there's other folks have done, and there are a lot fewer.
A lot.
Right, but here somebody has done Gustavo the Shy Ghost sentence strips in
So they use the bracelet template to be sentence strips.
So then you can sequence the story, put it in order.
There you go.
Nice. See,
There you go.
I just love it when people take the templates
And use it in weird
them
ways.
for different creative things.
Yep.
Very cool.
It's really where I get all of my best ideas is in the sharing center going, wouldn't have thought to do it that way.
Right.
Like the one you talked about earlier, the daily report that you were using, I have used with my students within a science center for observation notes. What do I see? What do I hear? What does it feel like? And so the students use it in a different way. What?
I'm going to put up the one that says Darla's very impressed that I referenced the EET.
Of course you
And
are.
did more than just say EET.
No, I know what it stands for. I've never used it, but I do know what it is. So, all right, Lori, show us more stuff.
So what you wanted to come back to at AOTA.
We'll be making these in the booth.
You can come make one. Easy peasy. And this is all Judie. So love it. Well, to be fair, I made the template.
Yeah. I wrote the software. You can't do that.
In the words. But then, we gave this away for years with a core board on the back side and a voice volume sheet on the front, or flip those. And you can add color backgrounds. You can use this template any way you want. I love seeing what people do. But this is a voice volume. And then what Judie did was add a pipe cleaner and a bead. In this case, I used a dolphin. But honestly, you can use any bead. You can use a shiny, sparkly bead. Whatever the
I wish
child's
my
preference
overhead
is.
was working, but it's not.
Oh,
But
it's
it
not?
allows you to either model for the learner, like, oh man, class, guys, small group, whatever, your voice is getting close to an outside group, outside voice, or you can use it for a one-on-one kind of intervention with a student to kind of
Good self-assessment, right?
now?
Where do you think your voice is right now? Right?
And I love the visual of bringing it up and bringing it down. And we do have students that I have to tell them to bring their voice up so I can hear them better. So
I'm not one of those. So and it was your favorite ATIA make and take this year. There you go.
Nice.
So, what else you got?
Well, if we're talking about
In a story,
AOTA make and takes, the other thing we're going to have, which we've talked before on this show, is scratch offs.
And we're going to have the good ones, the ones that smell bad but work well.
So I have seen, so I ordered these in iridescent and they were very difficult to scratch off.
Right.
So I went back to the
plain gray works great.
Works great. But I did have one person who contacted me and said her gray wasn't working as well. So I know with Amazon, you just don't know which brand you're going to get.
Yeah.
But all the ones I've ordered have worked fabulously for the gray plain ones.
We know how these work, right?
We do. And so we will have little scratch off tickets, reward tickets in the booth. And then OTs can come over and pick out rewards that are relevant for them, whatever reward they want, a phone call home, or maybe you get to sit in the teacher's chair. And then Bill just turned it into a scratch off lottery ticket.
See that? And then the other nice thing about
amazing pincer grasp, fine motor skills.
That's right.
Go like this and scratch it off.
Right.
I've seen children, talk about persistence, having to work through a challenge when it wasn't rubbing off and having to go harder or change how they're doing it because they're on too much of an angle that it's not scraping.
You got to make sure that you always have one in here that says choose another ticket. Because what they really want is to continue scratching off. That's actually a win.
We did learn that you don't have to have a reward under the ticket, that the scratch off itself is the reward. So you could have Spider-Man under the ticket, under the sticker. And when they get the reward, they scratch it off and they see Spider-Man, or a dinosaur or whatever it is.
All right, Elisa's going to her Amazon.
The other big tip is that once you've made these, especially if you laminate them, but even if you don't, once you've made them and they've been scratched off, you can just put a new sticker on top and reuse it, right? And as long as you scratch it fully, it just works. So,
and nothing's to say you can't use those stickers on other things. So on a visual schedule, you could work across your schedule,
and then what's the
and
reward?
then at the end have a surprise, or maybe in the middle, like I don't know what we're gonna do here,
something special.
So
scratch
offs, not just for lotto tickets.
Show me that bag.
Well, what this bag was going where I was going to go is that in a story, if you come to our booth at AOTA, we will have in a story giveaway. We did this for the CEC, the Council of Exceptional Children Conference, back in March, and it was a big hit. And it's a big hit for me. And because I figured if I want it, there's probably a few other people that really want it too.
You know, are employees allowed to win?
Are non-employees allowed to win?
No, not if you work in the booth.
Talk about that, you know.
Lisa, you want to quit working in the booth?
No, that's not what I said. Definitely not what I said.
No, but I do think it's a great book for this topic, for this conference. I'm sure that wasn't done, unintentionally, because it would be a great thing for OT and a speech therapist to push in and help support a pre-K or kindergarten teacher with.
Yeah.
And I love, simple things like a bingo game, using Play-Doh to smash on there as your bingo dauber. They're laminated with the heavy laminations so that they should last again and again. I love it. There's some other cool things. Talk about literacy. We have symbols called street letters. And the initial point, I used to make these by hand, is take a street letter, print them big, and let the kids draw with the car. And then what I liked about the street letters is with that dotted line, it kind of gives you that guide of staying within the area. And I used to put dots and things to show them where to start and where to end, and using those street letters. So I use them not just for big ones with a car, but I use them for writing activities as well. And so within this story, using the vocabulary in the story, we have street letters on picture cards,
right,
that kids can spell the vocabulary from the story. So lots of different areas.
And everything in here is basically all the stuff from the in a story.
Yes.
Right. So basically
already made for them and
pre-made with these. So Lori discovered Staples, and it turns out it's not much more expensive than the cardstock and the ink, but they come out just ridiculously beautiful. I mean, so much better than if we're printing them, right? And so she goes to Staples and she gets them made, and then she laminates. Teresa laminates them, and
laminate and cut,
put them together and make baskets out of them. So
we will have several of them to give away at the conference if you're there.
Yes, and yes. So Kelly Suiting says, "Can I win?"
Wow.
No, Kelly can't win. Squatter can't.
Well, I mean,
Squatter can't win.
She'd have to be at AOTA because that is a present to win scenario, right?
It is a present to win, but even if she was there, I wouldn't give it to her.
It's a pretty long drive from Virginia to Kansas City. I don't know.
So
I don't know, Kelly. We might have a giveaway at Closing the Gap.
That's true. We'll see you there. All right. So what else we want to talk about?
So I have other things that are OT related. Another make and take area we made for CEC, and we'll have out again are our spinners.
I love those.
And then you can buy these little spinner pieces on Amazon, a bag of them for nothing.
Yeah.
And again, turn anything into a spinner.
I love that, Carolyn. Everybody kind of has this little bit of, if they work in education, a little bit of inner OT desire in them.
Oh,
I keep landing right on the line there.
OT stuff isn't just for OTs anymore.
No, it's not. We don't own any one part of this. We like to share, because the more that people do something that kids think is fun in OT, the more replication and practice the kid gets with it.
Right.
It's a win-win.
To be honest, I've learned a ton and embedded a lot of the OT strategies within the classroom.
Well, and you have for years. You've talked about crossing the midline and all this stuff for
all
years.
These things that, general ed teachers know a lot, and special ed teachers know, an inch deep across multi-disciplines, right? So we do embed it in our practice. You do see crossing the midline, fine motor, and things tweaked like boxes that are harder to open to sabotage what they're doing.
She's so
in order to get them to use those skills.
That's right. And
so
see,
very good at that.
If you hide behind the magic door, as Elisa calls it, no one's ever going to know those wonderful.
Right.
Exactly. I would have never learned any of that by not having
you
done
enter the
anything.
classroom, you don't see all the wonderful things that the teachers are doing.
And to
That's
be honest,
right.
I will never have the depth of an OT. So when the OT walks into my room, they're always looking, each of the kids are puzzles, and they're looking at the child from their lens in a much deeper, rich way that supports me as well. So we have to go together.
Right.
Anyway.
You're good.
I just married an OT, and that's how I,
Well, that's one way to do it. So Lori Moskowitz Ritbo. Wow, it's like bingo. It's way up there in names. You should sell the kits, and that's flattering, but there's no way. I will veto that.
I do. It's $36.
Yeah.
And then
you print them.
You send it to Staples.
So
or do it on your own printer. I mean, there's different levels. Obviously, if I'm going to use it for years, I want it a little better quality. So I'm going to use a better
they're
quality.
great projects they're great projects if you have SLP practicum students or interns or OT interns as a part of their project to kind of do the planning and implementation to deliver the activity. But in the same regard, really then it really just costs you a little bit of materials money, and they put everything together for you.
I had my Maker Club make adapted books for our lending library in Loudoun County, and they loved it. The kids learned how to use the book binders. They learned how to use the pocket laminators. They learned how to use a lot of the stationary materials. We even had them scanning before, we had our phones as cameras and things like that. So they got a chance to learn a lot too.
Yep. So the answer on why I said no is inventory, shipping, time. Not like centralizing that doesn't work. Distributing out to the end user is how we keep this product at $36, and it certainly is something that you can. I know nobody has time. Like somebody posted, no time for material development. It's true. You may not, but it's certainly faster to do it when it's already aggregated and ready to be sent to Staples than developing them yourself, right?
Yeah, I was just saying and I totally understand what Lori's saying, but it'd be an awesome student service learning hour project. Like, I don't know in other states, but I know in Maryland, students have to have all of these student service learning hours in order to graduate. And this would be a great one for especially someone who maybe, is looking for something where they don't have to physically go to, a soup kitchen or something like that. And this would be an awesome.
Yeah.
Or a retirement home project. A lot of people are looking for things to do in retirement homes.
Yep. So our daughter's a recreational therapist. We're definitely familiar with that one.
Yes, she uses it on the other end of that.
Yeah.
And she did a lot of memory activities.
Yep.
So making a bingo game or playing cards and different fun things. They also had a lot of games that they would adapt using LessonPix to personalize commercial games as well.
Yeah.
You put up before a comment from Darla saying how impressed, but I do remember, go down. There's a fabulous comment right here.
I wasn't sure which Lori she was talking about. So I didn't want to she'll have to be clearer. But Carolyn says, get those National Honor Society students. Also Eagle Scouts, right? So, and
Girl Scouts getting their gold award.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So.
As a gold award recipient, got to represent the gold awardees.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think there are tons of ways. And if it's a funding thing, if it's I don't have the funding to, produce the materials, your local CEC chapter has, kind of mini grants or specialized funding requests they will do. So I think it really helps that, there are different ways to get that initial, how could I get them printed, right? So that they could be put together. But I think for the labor of the putting together, the cutting and the laminating, absolutely leverage the students. And I think if I were to think back when I had to do service hours in high school, would I rather go weed a community garden or sit and cut and laminate?
Right. Yeah.
Well, also, as far as cost saving, I could not afford Staples in the classroom, and we didn't have color printer at my school. So it just didn't work that way. So I did do a lot of black and white pictures. And that is why our symbols come in the outline form as well, because I'd always have teachers' kids around early in the morning or in the afternoon. And I had some 4th and 5th grade safety patrols that would get to my classroom a little bit early, waiting to take, our kids to the bus, and they would be thrilled to color in and make my visuals look stunning.
Ish. Well, stunning
no,
for
they were very good.
kiddos.
They were very good.
So yes. All right. Great ideas. We have lots of ideas, and Lori says so great ideas. Thanks. So anyway,
yay.
We're good.
She's got a great name.
I know. And she even spells it correctly.
Both Loris are great.
Yeah, both Loris are great. So, all right. What else do we need to get into?
I brought
Anything?
a ton of things, but I don't really need to show it all. I more brought it. I guess the other thing that I can mention that I had here somewhere is to use it with the tools you have. But Elisa kind of brought that up in Spider-Man, the importance of like taking pictures or using your own camera to have things. So in this case, if you want to hold that.
Sure.
I mean, we were just using our, what are these called?
Magnetiles.
Wow.
And so within our therapy center, we have pictures of the magnetiles there. And so for great matching activities, and they just kind of take the fun things you already have and make them better. Yeah, can you do it? Can you do the paper clip? You might need an OT. So then you can take like 2 shapes and make a new shape with them. So this one turns it into a diamond using multiple shapes. And then we can even say like, you don't need the pictures around, but have them nearby to see if they can do it and take the shapes and form a new shape. And then we might even say something like, can you build a house? And they can make their house however they want to. And the visuals just support that language, or maybe a 3-dimensional house, again, taking it to the next level, knowing your kids. So having those visuals at hand are just so powerful.
Also teaches some people, we're going to be talking about play at AOTA, Beth and Elisa and me, and some children don't know how to structure their play. So their play is random. They don't learn from their play. They tend to throw and scatter as opposed to assemble. And so using cards like that to teach them even the sequencing or the time taking to know how to build a Lego house or to know how to put Mr. Potato Head together helps them have more success and more joy in their play because they're learning how to make connections.
That's a whole another LessonPix Live, isn't it?
It is.
The whole presentation. Well, and I think
presentation
for anyone coming to AOTA, we would love for them to come to our presentation. But because we know our learners who have complex bodies just have less experiences in play. They're less likely to be down on the floor playing with their peers, propped up on their forearms and interacting. And so what we're hoping to share is ways to help get our learners with a variety of needs kind of engaged in play and giving them the support that they need to do that. Right. Because that's where OT comes in and I think has some strengths is to look at the situation and go, oh, whoa, if we just added this here or shifted this here, then, your learner who is above the elbow amputation on one side could actually do this with one arm. Right. So I think it's about how do we help, play is learning. So how do we help our youngest learners engage in play tasks, regardless of what need they have, by adapting and modifying and structuring their play for them.
So tell me, ladies, whoever, I'm going to say it's going to be Beth, but I'm not sure. Give me the name and the time and the date of the session.
I know.
Judy.
It's on Thursday.
It's on Thursday.
I believe it's at 2:45.
2:45.
And it is session 100 something or other. I have to look.
That I don't know.
Judy's the lead.
What is the title of your session?
I am looking because I won't be able to tell you without. Okay, here we go. It is short course 141, Playing to Learn and Learning to Play, supporting participation through collaboration. And we are modeling that as OTs and SLPs working together through collaboration and a continuum of support. So we're talking about low tech, make and take, find it around the house. And we're also talking about the more sophisticated solutions.
I love
With
it.
perhaps a sprinkling of LessonPix and activities involved.
So there's always a possibility. You never know.
Visuals are powerful, and yeah, they will help.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, oh, I found your book. I looked up AOTA and your name, Judie, and I got a book you're in. Who knew?
What book is that?
The use of assistive technology to enhance participation. You wrote chapter 21.
Yes, I did.
There you go. So I tried to bring up the thing to show the time and everything, but we got it. We're good. So that's on Thursday. I will not be able to be there for your session. I hope it goes great for you. I will be in Indiana saying hello to Kelly Suding's old friends at Patents.
I will not be there either for their session.
That's right.
However, I would love to be because play is one of my things.
You'll be the only one manning the
Somebody's
booth.
got to be in the booth.
Somebody's got
Somebody
to
has to be in the booth, but
work.
you might know somebody who could share some handouts and resources.
There you go.
Our session is being recorded, so
Excellent.
I don't know how that recording goes out. You'll have to check with AOTA, but the session is being recorded.
Love
I
it.
think for people that are doing the virtual component
Okay.
of it,
Yeah.
will have access to that recording.
So I think we can probably wrap soon. I think we're good. I've got a couple things to mention. Obviously, this is AOTA is the big one. That's what we're doing this week and stuff, and we're kind of wrapping up the school year. So unofficially, if your school is thinking about joining us next year, you might want to reach out now because we tend to give summers for free if we have new people and they get their training done this year. So if you have a group that you're signing up, maybe if you're a speech path and you think the education group should get it or whatever, it's probably a good time to reach out and talk to either Beth or Eric, because if we get you trained this year, you kind of get the summer for free and you get the time to make your materials all summer. That would help Lori because she'd have more time to make materials. And we have our next, I'm not sure what will be our next one or the following one. We're going to do a LessonPix Live about R. Just R. And I think none of our speech paths here would sign up for this, but we've got a couple of speech paths who are telling me they are successful with R's and others that absolutely hate it.
Teresa volunteered. by
Teresa
the way.
volunteered?
So we might get to see her
Excellent.
again. It's been a while.
It has been a while. She does still exist. She still works here. And Tally Kellerstein is one that has told me she is excellent at R's, or she's successful with R's. So we're going to try and put together all about R. So if you are a speech path or anybody else who's successful in, I don't know who else would do it, but successful in treating bad R's, tell us, reach out to us. You can email bill@lessonpix.com or reach out on social media before the next time. I'd love to get some other people involved. If you hate R, then you'll just join us and maybe you'll get the tips you need to fix that.
Maybe I could finally treat kids who have R difficulties if I watch this.
Maybe. I don't know. If
I mean,
nothing else,
I've been in SLP for 35 years, but oh, is it pirate room, Kelly?
Kelly said,
Arr.
R, Swilby. So I actually did an entire week where I only tweeted in pirate.
We do. September 19th, International Talk
International.
Like a Pirate
We are
Day.
officially a part of International Talk Like a Pirate Day.
But you've got to have R and and ear and or because they're
Doesn't
all
just
the
make
different
one sound
Rs.
that are.
All right. So we are going to get some people who actually are successful, on ours, and get them in here to work on that. And then we have others lined up as well. But I think those are the two things before the end of the year where it's important we bring them up. So if you want to be involved in that, or if you want to watch that, let us know and join us. And then if you are thinking about LessonPix for your group, it is like the only time of the year where you kind of get a discount because you get summer free. It's a good time to reach out to us. Okay.
And
My
get
little
that training
plug
for free, right? Like,
Yeah. We'll train your whole group. Beth will do it live, or Eric will do it live, or we can do it, record it if you need it. But
live over the internet.
Unless you're in Maryland.
If you're in Maryland or Virginia or Delaware, I can come there.
Florida.
There you go.
Florida.
So, she can go to Chicago. You never know. It's a big enough group. She'll go anywhere.
Yeah. I got a
That's
place
right.
to stay in Chicago. I know people there.
Okay. TMI. We're good. But if you are interested, let us know. And I think that's about it. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for joining us, ladies. and everybody else out there who piped up. It's always better when people are giving us comments, and it's good to know that there's human beings out there listening to us, which is good. So, all right, everybody, good luck and have fun, and I'll see you later in the week at AOTA. Bye.
Safe travels.